You're witty.
The mother of all compliments. Hi everyone, I'm Felipe.
And I'm Lillian.
And we are the Postmodern family.
We are Americans living in the UK reacting to Great Britain.
We make 5 new videos in which we convey all the genius of our understanding of British humor to you 5 days a week. So hit that subscribe button now.
And today we're going to further dive into this idea of British humor. English with Lucy will lead us through this today.
Okay, I think we've gone through a very long run of reacting to British humor. And I think we'll take this week maybe and try to understand what that is a little bit more explicitly. And we'll have some of the most fantastic luminaries of the entertainment world and YouTube world try to explain to us what British humor is.
Okay.
Hello everyone and welcome back to English with Lucy. Today I've got a very different video, but it's been extremely highly requested. A lot of you have been telling me that you don't understand British humour or that you would like to understand British humour. So today I'm going to talk you through British humour, help you to understand it a little bit more and give you some phrases that you can also use to participate in British humour. So our sense of humour can do two things. It can make people feel excluded because they don't understand what's going on. And it can also make people feel offended because it can be, or it can appear to be, quite offensive. But don't worry, we're going to cover all of that today. This video might be one of the most important videos I've ever done on my channel. Humour, the British sense of humour, is very important to me. Quickly, before we get started, and no, this isn't sarcasm, but we will cover that later, I would like to thank the sponsor of today's video. It is Lingoda.
What is
Lingoda is
her
an
accent?
online language school
Received.
where you can study French, Spanish, German, English,
Slightly
and
not
business
right.
English, 24 hours a
received.
day, 7 days a week, from anywhere in the world, as long as you have a stable internet connection. You learn with native, qualified teachers in both group and private classes. When you complete enough courses, you receive a CEFR certificate, ranging from A1, which is beginner, to C2, which is
Is it
advanced.
nice that
You
Lingoda
follow
is
a
also now
structured curriculum
advertising
and
on
can
our
choose
channel
from over
because we're
1,000
reacting to it.
classes.
Just
which
fast
means you
forward
can
this,
tailor what
editor.
you learn to
Editor,
your
fast
profession and
forward.
interests. Lingoda have given me a special offer to pass on to you. If you
This
click
whole
on the
ad.
link in the description
Fast
box
forward
and
both
sign
that
up using my code
and us.
Lucy11, you will get
Or
a
skip it.
20% discount on
Yeah,
all
skip this
Lingoda
part.
packages for your
Skip the
first
whole
month.
Lingoda ad.
I've tried
All right,
Lingoda
editor?
myself and I think it's a fantastic way to
You
improve your
understand
language
that?
skills and practice with
that
native
simple
qualified
enough?
teachers. Right, let's get on with this very humorous lesson. So what is British humour? Well, I'm going to break it down into, I think, 8 categories.
Wow. 8.
But in general, we just love to ridicule and make fun of everyday life, the absurdity of
The
everyday
absurdity
life.
of everyday
One of our
life.
most popular comedians is Michael McIntyre, and literally all he does is make witty remarks about everyday life. He makes us laugh about ourselves and the things that we do that we don't even
We
think
haven't
of. He
reacted
makes
to
us
Michael
analyse them
McIntyre.
and
We
think,
have.
wow, that's
He's the
ridiculous.
horse
I'll
riding
leave a
guy
link
who
to
says-
some of his videos and
The
his
words
work
are
in
dumbed
the
down for
description box below.
Americans. That's him.
So first let's talk about irony. Irony. This is when we highlight when something is different from or the opposite of what is expected. This is incredibly important in British humour. An example of irony could be, our local fire station burnt down last night. Obviously you would not expect a fire station to burn down. You would expect that they would take care of their building, just as they take care of other buildings. That would be very ironic. Well, we love highlighting these ironic situations. We love highlighting irony.
Like the Postmodern family.
The irony of everyday life. Another example could be, you know our friend Pat, the marriage counsellor? Unfortunately, her and her husband are getting a divorce. We would find that very, very funny. Obviously, we'd be sad for Pat and her husband, but the irony would not be lost
Americans like irony.
on us. Phrases we can use. So if somebody says something to you that you think might be ironic, you can say, oh, the irony. oh, the irony. Or you
Oh,
could also
the
say,
irony.
oh, how ironic.
Oh, how
Or better yet,
ironic.
say nothing at all.
It's not
just
like Alanis
smile.
Morissette's song.
Just a
Yeah.
coy smile.
Isn't
would be
it
fine.
ironic?
Now,
Like
one step on from
rain on your
irony
wedding
is
day.
Yeah.
sarcasm. This is something that we are famous for.
Sarcasm.
Sarcasm uses irony to mock or ridicule. A great example of British sarcasm in its purest form was actually performed by my father at his father's, my grandfather's, funeral. We like to make light of any situation here in the UK.
At a funeral?
Before we start, my grandfather had a great sense of humour. He was always laughing and he would have
Always.
absolutely loved this. So my dad was put in charge of writing the eulogy for the funeral, and he also had to read that eulogy out in the, I was going to say cockpit. It is not a cockpit. What is it? Will, what's that place where you do a reading in a church?
Podium?
Pulpit!
The
Thank you, I got it. Okay. So, he had to give this reading of the eulogy in the pulpit at the front of the church to everyone who was attending the funeral. Now, because this eulogy was so long, they divided
Did
it
she get
into
married?
two parts.
When
They
was
were
this?
going to have a little break,
Who's
and
well?
his sister, my aunt Mary, was going to choose 3 songs that Yeti really liked, that reminded her of Yeti, and she was going to put them in this interval. So all was going well. She turned on the songs very well, but when it came to turning the music off, it was quite abrupt. It was literally like,
With that noise.
and my father, still using his funeral voice with not a smile on his face, just said, "Beautifully faded out, Mary," and then just continued delivering this eulogy, and it was hilarious. But I did think, had my students been at this funeral, they would have been like so shocked and offended that my dad would make such a joke at this funeral. My granddad would have loved it, and the whole family found it hilarious. And actually, that's a really good example of deadpan or dry humour, which we'll talk about next. But first, a couple of phrases you can use when you are attempting to use sarcasm. If somebody misunderstands you and gets offended, you can say, "I'm being sarcastic." Also say that with no smile, because that's quite funny, or that was sarcasm. So if you're worried that they might not understand as soon
So
as you
that's
say
not
something
sarcasm.
sarcastic, you can say, "I
Give us
absolutely
an
loved your
example of
dancing.
sarcasm.
That was sarcasm." So yes, as mentioned
what she
before,
just said was
deadpan
that.
or dry humour.
Her father.
This is when you say something
wasn't
amusing or funny
sarcastic.
with a very
That's what
straight
she said, it was
face
the use
and a
of irony
very
to ridicule
serious
somebody.
tone. The best jokes are delivered dryly. This is more of a tactic because you know that your joke is funny. You have the confidence and intelligence to know that what you've said is funny because you've said it with a straight face, but people have still laughed. It can add that extra shock factor.
Shock.
This is why it's so easy to
All
offend
sounds
people
really-
with British humour. We often confuse Americans because their humour, I love American humour, but their humour is more obvious and in your face.
I love deadpan
So
humour.
sometimes if we say
They do
something
that.
that appears insulting with a straight face, well, they would normally make a joke like that with a smile on their face or making it
Christopher
obvious
Walken
that they're
is
joking.
very deadpan.
Yeah.
So there can
But
be
it's not
some
common.
confusion.
Really?
Next, we have my favourite one, which is wit, making witty comments. This is making quick and intelligent remarks and comments, preferably with a straight face. This is all about being quick thinking and clever. We love feeling in awe of someone when they make a completely unplanned or off-the-cuff joke that fits in perfectly with the conversation. This can be really, really hard for non-native speakers. I experienced exactly what you're experiencing in Spanish because I'd want to make a quick comment, it would come into my head, but by the time it actually came out of my mouth, the conversation had moved on. So to make witty comments and to be witty, you have to be really clever and really quick and good with your language skills. To be described as witty in the UK is the mother of all compliments. It really, really
that right?
is. So if anyone ever says, "That was very witty," or "You're very witty," you should take that as a really, really big one. Next, we have self-deprecation,
Is there an example?
self-deprecating humour.
No.
This
You
is
just
one
have
that
to
you
be
may have
witty
seen
in
in a
the
lot of my
conversation.
videos,
I
actually.
guess
It's
I'm not
quite an
witty.
easy
You
one
do
to
that quite a lot. You do
but
it
it's
well.
hard to not overdo it,
You're
actually.
witty.
It can just get depressing after a
The
while.
mother of all
This is simply making fun of oneself. So, like me making fun of myself. Or
Yeah,
you making
yeah,
fun of
everyone does
yourself.
that.
We don't like to show off too much.
Is that
in the UK.
comedy? That's
This is a
humour?
very important component of British humour and
Is that
culture,
humorous?
actually. Americans might say, America is the greatest. And Brits might say, Britain is a great place to visit if you don't mind poor weather and questionable food. We love making fun of ourselves, whether that's ourselves as a person or ourselves as a nation. Other examples, going into work and saying, ugh, I look like I got dressed in the dark this morning, or talking about how bad you are at cooking. I'm so bad at cooking, I could burn water. They're just little comments that are quite amusing that we throw out, and they are making fun of ourselves. Then we have innuendos or double entendres. These are amazing. This is when we intentionally say things that could be interpreted as taboo or sexual in meaning. These are a huge part of British culture and British humour.
Is it a huge part?
So easy
It's like
to slip in
seaside
anywhere
humour.
because they're not directly offensive or rude. But once you know the meaning of them, it can be quite shocking to see that they are in the newspaper or in a children's TV programme. An example could be, there's a plate of sausages over there. Would you like to give her one? Well, to give him or her one means to give them sexual intercourse, I guess. And obviously the fact that sausages involved make this more emphasised. But actually sexual innuendos and double entendres can be found anywhere, especially in headlines of newspapers and in general conversation. I remember being around 6 years old. My childhood home was very near to my lower school. And I was sitting underneath a hedge, so I was hidden from the path that led to my school, and I was watching my dad do work in his vegetable patch. So I couldn't be seen, but people could see in and see my dad. And I heard one of my teachers walking along with another teacher say to her companion, I'd rather see his meat and two veg. And I remember going, Daddy, why did Mrs. want to see your meat and two veg? And he obviously went very red. They had gone by then, but I remember him telling my mum about it over dinner and her being shocked and also laughing loads. And it took me a couple of years to understand what they meant. Obviously, meat and two veg means a man's private area, I guess, because of the shape of... Anyway, let's not go too far into it, but it took me a while to understand.
So why did she make that comment?
But yeah, that's a good example.
Why is it?
Because they were keen on it.
It was my teacher
But
saying
was
it.
he working on
On the vegetables.
Next we have banter. Oh, banter is rife in the UK. This is playful teasing that can actually be quite harsh. It's normally used with our friends and family, people that we are close to, that we know we have that rapport with. But we can also use it against other cultures, especially Americans, Germans and French. There seems to be some good banter going on between us. It's very common in pub culture and lad culture. So for example, if a male friend is starting to lose his hair, well, he will probably be picked on and teased about that in his group of friends. But don't worry, it's just banter. It can be quite offensive sometimes and covered up as banter, but in general, it's a really funny thing. There is a difference between banter and witty banter. Witty banter is much more intelligent and clever.
10x.
Banter can just be teasing sometimes with an excuse. I love it though. I think it's hilarious. A common form of like nationwide banter is the rule that if anyone in a pub anywhere drops a glass and it makes a noise, everyone has to go, "Way!"
That's not banter.
And it's so embarrassing for that person. It's happened to me, it's happened to most people. But yes, make sure you join in with the way, but don't start the way if you're in a pub in the UK. Lastly, we have puns or play on words. This is just wordplay. It's making funny comments by bending and using the language. This is something that we love to hate. We all go, ugh, and groan when we hear a bad pun, but we might, go, oh, very good if we hear a really clever one. It's very common to see puns on shop fronts, shop names. For example, there's a fish and chip shop called The Codfather, play on words with The Godfather. We have a hairdresser's called A Cut Above the Rest, which is hilarious, kind of. There's a kebab shop called Abra Kebabra, which I think is brilliant.
That's
A bakery called Bread Pit. And a greengrocer's called Planet of the Grapes. Hilarious. Love it. They are terrible but brilliant, and they are very, very British. In fact, if you
That'd be
search
great.
shop name puns on Google, you can spend a good couple of hours laughing at the creativity of these shop owners.
Laughing.
Right, I think we've covered most of the bases of British humour. If you have any other doubts, please comment them down below and I'll try and help you out. And also let me know about any similarities or differences with your culture and language. I'd also love to know if you have any good puns or jokes.
That's
Always up for a laugh. Check in the
14
comment
times.
section.
So yeah, I think Americans have all of those.
But this video wasn't. This is uniquely British humor.
Yeah, I know. But she just asked at the end if
Okay.
there's anything that's similar in your culture.
Right,
So
right.
American.
I think the first
British-
question is, having watched all the British comedy that we've watched, do you think she's accurately?
I think she's hit all of
describe-
the things that are funny about that define British humor. But
I think she's hit all the tools that are used,
yes, yeah. But the how it's unique,
but not the
is
ethos
not,
of British humor.
No, she hasn't. No, she
Yeah,
hasn't.
but she said British humor explained. So,
Yeah, that's like teaching second.
it's like
English.
Yeah, English as a second language.
Yes.
People, how British humor operates.
Yes, exactly.
The instruments it uses, so
Yeah.
to speak. Okay.
It
I got
doesn't like get you into
I thought
the
she was going to get sort
psyche
of semi-philosophical, semi-psychological.
No, she hasn't. She didn't.
She doesn't have that capability. With the brain of a squirrel. You see.
The more beautiful you are, the smaller your brain.
It's inversely correlated, yes. Yes.
We're just joking, obviously, guys.
What form of the 8 was that?
That's sarcasm.
Right? Yeah, I think so. Well,
That's
there's no
mainly-
irony there, is there? No.
No. I just think I think my humor is generally just sarcasm. What's your humor?
I don't know.
I think yours is witty banter.
Witty banter, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
I
your
like that.
that's yours.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then from our favorite shows, what let's say Only Fools and Horses.
Okay.
What do they use? I think mainly a lot of play on words, right?
Yeah, puns,
Puns.
situational humor.
Puns and double entendres.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, puns and double entendres. Yeah. Okay, let's pick another one. Let's pick the radio show guy.
Alan Partridge.
Yeah, Alan Partridge.
His is clearly sarcasm
Yeah.
and irony, I'd say.
Yeah.
He's such a funny guy. He's still making stuff. He just like a few days ago put out a video of something. Stand-up comedy.
Yeah. So do you think this was valuable?
I don't know.
Did we learn anything?
I would have enjoyed more examples. There are a few of them that she didn't give examples.
Yeah.
And I thought they didn't really bring like the wit.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved her to give an example of wit. But I know what it is. Because you do it all the time. But yeah, it's good. You have to I love wit, like she said. You have to be really clever. You have to your brain has to work really fast. And then you have to put the words together properly where it sounds funny and deliver it. And for me that's really difficult.
Because English is your second language.
It's your second language too.
How ironic. Okay. Thanks so much for watching this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments and your own understanding of British humor. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.